Masikata kanaka muri yeZimbabwe tinokuchingamidza ipa Africa and Beyond Television Network zita ndichinzi Ronald wekwamakusha. Nhasi tiri kutarisa pamusoro penyaya yezvirango zveupfumi zvakaiswa panyika yeZimbabwe. We are taking a look on the issue of sanctions which were placed on the leaders of Zimbabwe. And last time we talked about this issue, Rutendo Matinyarari, as an PF activist, had written to OFAC seeking clarity on the sanctioned people. And they responded to him, and he says, OFAC responds on Magnitsky sanctions. He says, OFAC has responded to the question as to whether global citizens or entities are prohibited from doing business with a government department led by an individual under the Magnitsky sanctions. According to OFAC, engaging with a government department led by an individual under Magnitsky sanctions is not prohibited. So, Magnitsky sanctions upon our government officials does not stop anyone in the world doing business with their government departments. In short, what it means is the new set of sanctions which were placed on President Mnangagwas and his associates do not affect Zimbabwe at all as a country, or do not affect the entities they lead. But there is an exception. We need to take a look on what the statement said. This is OFAC statement, and it says, thank you for your email. Generally, the designation of an individual with a leadership role in a governing institution does not itself block the governing institution. Accordingly, engaging in a routine interaction with a governing institution in which a blocked individual is an official, but that does not directly or indirectly involve the blocked individual in question, is not prohibited. So this applies to any designated individual in Zimbabwe who has a leadership role in a governing institution in Zimbabwe, including any individual blocked pursuant to the Global Magnitsky Sanctions Regulation GMSR 31 CFR Part 583. For example, making a customs payment to a governing institution in Zimbabwe led by a blocked individual would not be prohibited by the GMSR. However, engaging directly or indirectly with that blocked individual, such as receiving an invoice bearing the blocked individual's signature for a commercial transaction, would be prohibited by the GMSR unless authorized by OFAC or exempt. What it means is, if there is an invoice from Zimbabwe or from any government department in Zimbabwe which bears the names of people involved, the 8 individuals under sanctions, Magnitsky sanctions, or 3 other companies, if any name appears, that transaction may be blocked unless there is authorization by OFAC or there's an exemption. What it means is the president, the deputy president, and other designated individuals cannot sign any document of the government regarding any transaction to be done. Does that affect the government of Zimbabwe? I don't see it affecting the government of Zimbabwe because we have the Minister of Finance. The government, the president can give approval to the Minister of Finance to say, okay, you are the Minister of Finance, we are giving you approval to do A, B, C, D, and the Minister of Finance deals with that issue. If there is need for a signature of those above the Minister of Finance, there is a leader of government business who can be roped in. That is, we can have the Justice Minister co-signing together with the Minister of Finance. Also, we have Vice President Kembo Mohadi, who is not designated on these sanctions. He can also sign on behalf of the president and the other vice president if there is need for a presidium or the executive signature. So it's simple as that. Just imagine when President Mnangagwas is out of the country on leave and the acting president is there. It doesn't mean Kuti Mnangagwa will have to come and sign. The acting president will sign as the president of the republic, and the same will simply happen. This will need Kembo Mohadi to chip in where there is need, and they will simply put it in the name of Kembo Mohadi as the vice president of Zimbabwe, and there is nobody who is going to say as to sign Chiari Kembo Mohadi. everything will flow smoothly. So I think for the purposes of clarity, the people of Zimbabwe now understand what is really happening. The new sanctions which are there, they affect individuals on their own transactions, but does not affect the country. But if anything is put, or if their signatures appear, then there is need for exemption, or there is need for approval from OFAC. However, these sanctions, I believe that the government officials labeled or involved should make sure that they deal with this issue so that they get cleared. So sanctions are still on. The president is the final signatory in many governmental issues. So what happens? Not in every. This is the reason why we have explained and said the VP, Kembo Muhadi, can chip in where necessary. We have no problem with this, do we? The affected can fight funded by their political party. In the case with Trump, his legal bills are paid by his supporters. Okay. They are exposing your government because they don't want people to know this. They would rather have snowball official seeing about sanctions on ED as if they are on Zimbabwe. Okay, what if that person is the signatory to the said transaction? Let's say the finance minister is the signatory, but he is on the sanction list. In this case, the finance minister is not a signatory. If the finance minister is the signatory, you can have another minister sign on behalf of that state minister. That is the reason why you see sometimes, if you go into the issues of cabinet, unotoona minister of education achitaurira minister of health are in acting capacity. When there is need to sign for documents, that minister iyeye ari kuacta will simply sign in his name, but will say acting minister of health, and that will make things clear. So if you know that this person is blocked, you just make another person sign. That does not affect any decision makers. So no more blaming sanctions and on looting and underdevelopment. Okay, and Rambai makadzvanya mukoma zviri kutoita so sekubvisa kwavakaita maOFAC vachida kuti Magnitsky iwayo futi is the effort that counts. Thank you for your determination. Okay, no more excuses for President Mnangagwa and ZANU-PF sanctions. Okay, so this is what is happening in the nation of Zimbabwe, and we were trying to find clarity on whether these sanctions affect the operations of the government of Zimbabwe or not. And in this video, we have explained basing on the response which was given by OFAC through Rutendo Matinyarare, who is the chairman of ZASIM. So it is what it is. Watch and see what is happening in the nation of Zimbabwe, and we'll continue to bring matters of clarity to the people of Zimbabwe. Please continue to like, share, and comment.